The Nathu La and Cho clashes, also known as Second Sino-Indian War or Second Indo-China War, were a series of military clashes between India and China alongside the border of the Himalayan Kingdom of Sikkim, then an Indian protectorate. The Nathu La clashes started on the 11th of September 1967, when the People's Liberation Army (PLA) launched an attack on Indian posts at Nathu La, and lasted till the 15th of September 1967. In October 1967, another military duel took place at Cho and ended on the same day. According to independent sources, India achieved decisive tactical advantage and managed to hold its own against Chinese forces. Many PLA fortifications at Nathu La were said to be destroyed, where the Indian troops drove back the attacking Chinese forces. The competition to control the disputed borderland in Chumbi Valley is seen as a major cause for heightening the tensions in these incidents. Observers have commented that these clashes indicated the decline of claim strength and China's decision to initiate the use of force against India, and stated that India was greatly pleased with the combat performance of its forces in the Nathu La clashes, seeing it as a sign of striking improvement since its defeat in 1962 Sino-Indian War. Accordingly, in the morning of 11th of September, 1967, the engineers and Yuan soldiers of Indian Army started laying the stretch of fencing from Nathu La to Sepula along the perceived border. According to an Indian account, immediately a Chinese political commissar, with a section of infantry, came to the center of the pass where an Indian lieutenant colonel was standing with his commando platoon. The Chinese commissar asked the Indian colonel to stop playing the wire. Indian soldiers refused to halt, saying they were given orders. An argument started which soon turned into a scuffle. After that, the Chinese went back to their bunkers and the Indians resumed laying the wire. Within a few minutes of this, a whistle was blown from the Chinese side, followed by medium machine gun firing against Indian troops from North Shoulder. Due to the lack of cover in the pass, the Indian troops initially suffered heavy casualties. Shortly thereafter, the Chinese also opened artillery against the Indians. A little later, Indian troops opened artillery from their side. The clashes lasted through the day and night, for the next 3 days, with use of artillery, mortars and machine guns, during which the Indian troops beat back the Chinese forces. 5 days after the clashes had started, an uneasy ceasefire was arranged. Due to the advantageous position Indian troops had because of their occupation of high grounds at the pass in Sepula and Camel's Back, they were able to destroy many Chinese bunkers at Nathu La. The corpses of fallen soldiers were exchanged on 15 and the 16th of September. The Indian and Western perspectives attributed the initiation of these clashes to the Chinese side. The Chinese, however, blamed the Indian troops for provoking the clashes, alleging that the firing had started from the Indian side. On the 1st of October 1967, another clash between India and China took place at Cho La, another pass on the Sikkim-Tibet border, a few kilometers north of Nathu La. Scholar Van Eckland states that the duel was initiated by the Chinese troops after a scuffle between the two, when the Chinese troops infiltrated into the Sikkim side of the border, claimed the pass and questioned the Indian occupation of it. China, however, asserted that the provocation had come from the Indian side. According to the Chinese version, Indian troops had infiltrated into the Chinese territory across the pass, made provocations against the stationed Chinese troops, and opened fire on them. The military duel lasted 1 day, and boosted Indian morale. According to Major General Shu Thapil, the Chinese were forced to withdraw nearly 3 kilometers in Cho La during this clash. 88 Indian soldiers were killed and 164 wounded, while 340 Chinese soldiers were killed and 450 wounded. The Sino-Indian border remained peaceful after these incidents till 2020 China-India skirmishes. Sikkim became an Indian state in 1975, after a referendum which resulted in overwhelming support for the removal of monarchy and a full merger with India. The Indian annexation of Sikkim was not recognized by China during the time. In 2003, China indirectly recognized Sikkim as an Indian state, on agreement that India accept that the Tibet Autonomous Region as a part of China, though India had already done so back in 1953. This mutual agreement led to a thaw in Sino-Indian relations. Chinese Prime Minister Wen Jiabao said in 2005 that Sikkim is no longer the problem between China and India.